Hello, and welcome back to True Crime Lounge podcast. Today, I am very excited for this episode because, oh my goodness, I can't wait to dive into it. But before I do dive into it, I do have a YouTube channel that you can go and check out. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I also have a Patreon that you can join as well, and a merch shop that I know you want to go buy that Christmas gift from because we all know there were some last minute Christmas shoppers out there, right? Come on. It's true crime lovers stuff. Come on. You either know a true crime lover or you're a true crime lover, which is why, right? But I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter that you can join to keep up with my channel and podcast, just to know what's going on there. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So I was originally going to do this case on my channel, but I was like, no, I really want to do this on my podcast as well. So I decided to make this a TCL special episode. And for those of you that are new here, TCL is True Crime Lounge. Because sometimes I just don't feel like saying the whole thing out loud. But anyway, first of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I know, especially people who can't make it home for Thanksgiving. But this episode too, I want you to come across as remember that kindness matters and understand that you are important. If you are in an abusive situation, there is help out there. You don't have to stay in one just because you feel like this is your only option. But I remember coming across this as a movie on Lifetime. Um, and it is called Stolen Heart, Stolen by a Father, but it's based off the book, Pieces of Me. Um, which the movie has Sarah Drew who plays Lizbeth Meredith, a single mom who lets her children go with their father for his first unsupervised visit, and he ends up kidnapping the girls and taking them back home to his home country in Greece. And I found this out that he threatened that if she ever left him, he would do that. So, but he didn't do this like 2 years in so. But she would end up spending the next 2 years at literally like just to get them back. And she's a kidnapping survivor herself, and she made a promise that she would not let her kids experience divorce, um, see abuse, or be kidnapped. But unfortunately, life didn't pan out that way. She married young, and this is based. And I found out it was based on a true story. So when I did my own research on this case, apparently I found out that the Greek court system is very biased toward men, and it is interesting how the legal system works in foreign countries as well. Not saying the U.S. legal system is perfect, but it's better than most, as I believe. But I'm American, but I was born and raised here in the U.S., specifically the South. So and I worked as a paralegal for some law firms here in the South, primarily Alabama, and a couple here one here in Tennessee. But anyway, so who exactly is Lizbeth Meredith? How did her story become a Lifetime movie, and what draws people to learning her story? Well, she is an author, speaker, and a coach who elevates the stories of persistence through her work and helps those grounded with their challenges and into superpowers. She recently moved to Chattanooga after more than 5 decades living in Alaska. Um, and she's a first generation college student, which is what I admire about her even more. Um, she holds a bachelor's degree in journalism and master's degree in psychology. In her first memoir, Pieces of Me Rescuing My Kidnapped Children, it became an Amazon bestseller, and now it's a Lifetime movie. I do recommend you go in and watch the movie. Read the book first and watch the movie. That's all I'm telling you. I actually read the book and it was really good. Um, but she a retired probation supervisor and she previously worked as a child abuse investigator and a domestic violence advocate, and became a trainer in trauma, informed care, and advised adverse child care study. But this is nothing compared to her in her early years of her predicted success. She was born to two high school dropouts who divorced before her arrival, remarrying, bri- she, bri- remarrying briefly to prevent her illegitimacy. only to divorce nanoseconds later. So her early years were impacted by both domestic and child abuse, poverty, parental abduction, and siblings essay. Now, judgmental to the core as a young child, she couldn't wait to be grown. She vowed to never let her children experience the instability that she had defined in her life. And don't we all, like, specifically for me personally, I know that's one thing I made a promise to myself that I would find that stability growing up, because that's one thing I wish I had growing up. But back to the episode. And then at 20, she would meet a man who would change everything about her life. Like, she didn't have any interpersonal work, and he would not let her work. He had all the control over her. That's the thing. He was abusive from the beginning. And it started out verbal, then it became physical. And there was no way she didn't have a backup plan, no way to support herself. They barely dated 90 days. And she would marry him, who was a US citizen from Greece and who appeared to dote on her. But it wouldn't last. Like, of course, because most abusers never show their true colors, and a lot of it starts off as basic, like, playful teasing that can sometimes be hurtful and all of that. But 4 years later, but in her mid-20s, she found herself in this domestic abuse shelter with two young children, signing up for public and housing assistance, legal services, and parenting classes. Having failed to shield her daughters from the chaos she has been exposed to, she vowed to make good choices from there on out, explaining that the key to ending domestic abuse was leaving the perpetrator and thriving for financial independence. So 4 years later, she earned her bachelor's degree and was living at large at $10 an hour as the sole supporter of her girls, working for the very abuse agency that she fled to, and filled with the hope of what was to come. Yet she had not fully understood the far-reaching consequences of leaving her domestic abuse. So, in March 1994, she left work to pick up her girls from a daycare after the court-appointed visit with their father. They weren't there. They seemed to be taken out of they were taken to their home country of Greece. And what came next was a global effort, joined by friends and strangers alike to reunite Lizbeth and her daughters. After 2 years, later, after 2 years, many thousands of dollars, one arrest on Lizbeth, and he was arrested, but of course he didn't get no trouble, really. Um, and after a relentless effort for all involved, she found herself with now two non-English speaking daughters. But the heavy lifting was yet to come. Parenting traumatized children on a shoestring budget was rough. Strong communication skills, solid support, and stubborn persistence that kept her afloat in to trade dark times with a future of possibilities. Today, she's a proud mother, as she puts it, two feisty, educated women who've bucked integrational patterns of early marriage and lack of education. She's traveled 6 of 7 continents so far, and has giving training to authors, college students, community groups, and government organizations in a wide range of topics of through thread of persistence. But she was confronted with even with all of this, she was still confronted in the early years of with the most terrible bad dreams of her life in 1994, when her two young girls, Meredith and Marianthi, was taken from her by their dad, Gregorius Bastard, Buzdaris. We'll call him Gregory because I am not going to attempt to butcher that name up again. From from their home in Alaska to Greece, his home country. Now, for following 2 years, she went there and among Greece. I know that just I don't know why. Greece and then her neighborhood in Anchorage. Her main mission was to track her daughters down. She literally had a private investigator and everything. Like, she had the support. She got the help of a lawyer from there as well. Um, and her story has been all over Lifetimes, like Taken by the Father. which has taken affection for the audiences around the world. The film, it's inquisitive. Like it also gives like a insight to what foreign legal systems is like. But who is Gregory? Well, he's a U.S. resident from Kazoni, Greece, who worked in the 80s at Hotel Captain Hook in Anchorage. When he met Elizabeth, he immediately experienced passionate feelings for her, and the couple got hitched. November 23rd, 1985. The couple invited their girls, Marianthi and Meredith, in 1987, invited 1987, 1989 individually. Notwithstanding things before things went downhill, he started to genuinely manhandling Lisbeth when she started dreading for herself as well as the girls' lives. She ventured out from the home, residing in a ladies' asylum in 1990. So Gregory and Elizabeth's marriage got ended August 14, 1991, in which Meredith Meredithi's actual care was given to their mom, and she fought hard for that. Like she knew what would happen if he got full custody of her girls. He knew that he would take them back to his home country. Um, and he told her that if you ever left me, I will do that. So, and he chose to leave for Greece without telling Elizabeth. She just got 2 days after the fact that on March 15, 1994, like when she would get the young girls from the child care office, this was so she did not have to see him, right? Well, once in Greece, Gregory and the girls got comfortable, and I'm not in Thessaloniki. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that up. I am terrible at names. But these two girls went to class between 1994 and 1995. However, Gregory figured out that Elizabeth had come to Greece and observed them. He panicked. Moreover, the Greek court approved Lizbeth the authority of childcare on December 28, 1994, and he took them covertly and moved them to Perea, and this was a suburb in Thessaloniki. To excavate the situation, he had recorded a request to demonstrate Lizbeth to be an inadequate parent, and his attorney's companion affected the appointed authorities to vote down her. So, on April 3rd, 1996, that's the year I was born, Elizabeth was halted from leaving Greece from the young girls and captured for a brief time. And afterward, on May 20th, 1996, the court invalidated her case on her girls and allowed the authority of Gregory. Around then, he had been filling the hotel business executive counselor, and he further projected that both Meredith and Marianthi were blissful and composed during new climate. And here's the thing, like, he did not bathe them regularly. They would not go to school regularly at all. Like, he was proven to be unfit right there. But in spite of everything, she would not surrender to the battle of her girls, and she started interesting to every essential power. After 2 years, ton of battles, the girls were brought together, and their mom back to Anchorage, and after they arrived in Greece. Where is Gregory today? Well, Gregory is probably in his late 60s, and he is probably still in an area in Alaska. He recently lived in Tacoma, Washington, for some time. However, he lives in a similar city as the girls. It is unknown. It isn't known regardless of whether he has yet to contact with them. But in one of her meetings she shared during their marriage, he regularly faulted her for every one of their concerns. That's the thing. Like he would find a way to put her down. She would go and say, and when I left him, it seemed like a double crossing him. Like he thought I was the individual who might never leave. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys can imagine my face right now if you're not watching this. Like, for them it has been quite like a scary occurrence. Like I can't imagine a mom, let alone getting her kids kidnapped from her, then having to fight a court system that's literally like in a different country. Like I can't imagine going through all of that. I can't. Um, but here's the thing. Lizbeth and her girls, like they have like grown to be successful like with everything they do. And so Meredith's 2016 diary, Bits of Me Rescuing My Kidnapped Daughters, talks about the agonizing involvement in 1994 with her ex, when her ex removed the girls. And the whole occurrence has additionally been portrayed in the movie taken by the father. So, what about the girls today? Where are they today? Well, Marianti was born July 30th, 1987. Hey, another July 30th baby. July 30th, 1996. Um, and her more youthful sister, Meredith Eleni, was born April 18th, 1889. 1989. Um, so when the last option was scarcely a year old, the, the marriage had hit a tough situation, and their mom took them to stow away in a lady sanctuary. Like, at this time, Marianti was around 6 and Meredith was around 4. So she probably doesn't remember like much of it. And that's like protect your children at all costs, please protect them. But they were signed up for a public school in schools nearby, and when they dealt with their 67-year-old father's grandma, and they were conversant in both English and Greek dialects. However, with the time, their capabilities previous reduced. Like, so today, Marianti is 34 and Meredith is 32. Um, Elizabeth remained there with them until 2021, after which she moved to Chattanooga. In 2018, Marianti got back to Alaska in the wake of Expenditure, a year in Mexico, and all the probability of getting her certification in psychology from the neighborhood college. So today she is actually adapting her injuries and nervousness as a youngster, observing a homegrown maltreatment of experience residing in the stowing in Greece. Lizbeth Meredith, however, isn't exceptionally however, she isn't exceptionally friendly. Moriarty is by all accounts the long haul of solid relationships and offers a profound bond with her felines. So both these girls are thriving. That's the thing. Like, this mom shouldn't have gone through any of that. Which leads me, if you or somebody you know is being abused, get out and get the help you need. Seek the help. Somebody's going to help you. Go to a shelter or something. But hearing her story and her battles, this is just briefly. But I had to talk about this case. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. But it leaves a lasting impact on you. Alright, y'all. That is it. I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. And remember, the Iron Bowl is Saturday. Auburn's got this in the bag.